decided it would be kind of fun if I read this to y'all. Maybe I read the introduction, maybe I read a little bit more. Right now I've only uploaded one video because I'm filming them en masse and then gonna edit them and then gonna upload them. Because I want to film while I have time and while I look cute, because it's only every once in a while when I feel cute enough to film. Oh, you can see me in the mirror. That's silly. So I decided I would put on my dinosaur hat, turn around so it looks like a different video, and film me reading this. I'm really excited to start this with you guys. I have read a little bit of it, but I don't read enough, and I'm trying to read more, and I have so many freaking books that I need to get to, so this will be an excuse for me to start. Let me read you the inside flap so you can get an idea of where we are, and then we will start. I already read this in my last video, so if you already heard that, you can skip based on the chapters that I've put in the description. I'm feeling kind of out of breath, and I think it's just because I've been whispering. Anyway, let's get started. In the 21st century, new technologies should liberate us from work. Automation, rather than undermining an economy built on full employment, is instead the path to a world of liberty, luxury, and happiness for everyone. Technological advance will reduce the value of commodities, food, healthcare, and housing, towards zero. Improvements in renewable energies will make fossil fuels a thing of the past. Asteroids will be mined for essential minerals. Genetic editing and synthetic biology will prolong life, virtually eliminate disease, and provide meat without animals. New horizons beckon. David Beckon. No. In fully automated luxury communism, Aaron Bastani conjures a vision of extraordinary hope, showing how we move to energy abundance, feed a world of 9 billion, overcome work, transcend the limits of biology, and establish meaningful freedom for everyone. Rather than a final destination, such a society merely heralds the real beginning of history. I was that kid in class who always volunteered to read because I liked hearing the sound of my own voice. So I'm really excited to get started on this. So, introduction. Introduction. It starts out with a quote at the top from Luigi Pirandello. The way I was like, Luigi Pirandello. It's clearly Italian. Life is full of absurdities, which, strangely enough, do not even need to appear plausible, since they are true. I like that. This introduction is called Six Characters in Search of a Future. And it starts off with the heading Yang after the quote. Yang is a factory worker in Shenzhou, a city in the Chinese province of Henan. Born in a village in western China, her working life has corresponded with her country becoming the workshop of the world. She arrived in the city a decade ago and since then has created a decent life for herself. While her job is exhausting, Yang's earnings have been rising every year since she arrived in the city, something few people her age in Europe or North America can say. The foreman continually makes jokes about robots taking her job. Although Yang usually ignores him, the illicit trade unionists in her workplace say similar things. According to them, wages are no longer competitive because foreigners overseas have become accustomed to earning less than before. While the trade unionists see little chance of China losing its industrial eminence, that inevitability means some jobs will go abroad while others are automated. Of course, many jobs will stay in China. There will always be work, but conditions won't stay as they are. Yang even read on the internet how the company she works for, Foxconn, has started to build factories in America. That's really interesting. Oh, that was weird. I find that really interesting because we often think of China as the place where all of our overseas jobs go because the work there is cheap. Think about everything you see that says it's made in China. We have a conception about what China is and how their workforce is, but it is increasingly becoming more like America. And they are also losing jobs overseas. Friendly reminder that China is not a communist country. Their government name is the Chinese Communist Party, but it is not a communist country. It is state-run capitalism. They still have a extremely lucrative market, and that is not what communism is. Communism is a moneyless, classless society, and that has never been fully achieved. Bing, bang, boom. Okay, I forgot to mention that this book was published in 2019. Just FYI. Chris. When President Obama ratified the Space Act in 2015, it was a historic moment, at least for Chris Blumenthal. That legislation, while attracting little coverage in the press, recognized the right of private companies to make profits in space. American capitalism had a new frontier. Today marks the anniversary of that event, and Blumenthal could not be happier. Alone in his condo, he watches a Falcon Heavy booster rocket alight somewhere in the mid-Atlantic. Its successful landing not only makes a manned mission to Mars highly likely, but also continues an unblemished 3-year safety record for SpaceX, Elon Musk. The company which built it, that's Elon Musk's space company. The private space industry, for so long reliant on government contracts and the deep pockets of a few industrialists, is no longer science fiction. Soon rockets just like this one will be as familiar as a Boeing 737. After watching the landing streamed on Twitter, Blumenthal, an early-stage investor in an asteroid mining company, shares it with a WhatsApp group of like-minded individuals. Dirty capitalists, you mean? Among them are highly paid NBA coach and Hollywood director. To the link, Blumenthal adds, only half ironically, "Show me the money," in all caps. A response pops up straight away. Blumenthal doesn't know the person intimately, but presumes they watch the same stream. Quote, "There isn't enough money in the world where this is going." Blumenthal doesn't know it, but every other member of the group will watch the landing like he did, although not all in real time. Some will be at home, others eating dinner with clients, friends, and family. One will be lying in bed with her lover. Wherever they are, all of them will watch history unfold on the same OLED display in the palm of their hand. The technological trend allowing them to do so, ever cheaper with cameras with constantly improving resolution, ensured the rocket's pilotless landing was entirely automated. As Blumenthal goes to check the basketball scores, Sandra, an old friend and Manhattan lawyer, chimes in, quote, "Our problem here is too much of the stuff. It's going to be so easy. Everyone will be putting a rocket up their ass to get there next." Ew, Sandra. just lack access to personal AI, how do you think you have a fair labor market when that happens? I don't think you can. I'm telling you, Peter butts in, his tone almost oblivious to the large audience. The first asshole who builds an AI is a trillionaire. He relaxes back into his chair before wistfully adding what sounds like an internal monologue. He is either a trillionaire or a jackass. Federica knew she had forgotten an errand. She promised her nephew a football jersey for his birthday but didn't order it. Now she was doing something she didn't miss, buying a gift on Oxford Circus in London's West End. As she walks into the store, Federica wipes her hand in front of her face. The gesture activates a retinal display and summons her digital personal assistant, Alex, whose voice replaces her favorite podcast in her Bluetooth earpiece. Hello, Fede. What can I help you with? Hey, Alex, she responds. Where can I find an Arsenal shirt for Tom in here? largest of the Hawaiian Islands, finalized a deal with Solar City, allowing the island to meet its entire electricity needs of solar power. Around the same time, technology entrepreneur Mark Cuban declared that the world's first trillionaire would emerge in the space of artificial intelligence. In Seattle, meanwhile, Amazon trialed its first checkout-free store using, quote, just walk out technology. Almost simultaneously, Foxconn's CEO, Terry Gao, announced the construction of a major facility by a company in Wisconsin, 800 miles south of the state of Mississippi. David Aishi, a dog breeder and biohacker, was refused permission by the FDA to edit the genome of dogs he bred in order to eliminate a specific but common condition. His response, that he might be able to do it anyway as an act of civil disobedience. A year after that FDA ruling in February 2018, SpaceX oversaw the successful launch, re-entry, and landing of its Falcon Heavy rocket, the predecessor of the BFR booster the company intends to deploy in its manned missions to Mars in the 2020s. All of these events share a certain sense of the future. Renewable energy, asteroid mining, rockets which can be used multiple times and even fly to Mars, industry leaders openly discussing all of these events share a certain sense of the future. Renewable energy, asteroid mining, rockets which can be used multiple times and even fly to Mars, industry leaders openly discussing the implications of AI, DIY enthusiasts immersing themselves in low-cost genetic engineering. And yet, the future is already here. It turns out it isn't tomorrow's world, which is too complex to craft a meaningful politics for. It's today's. In attempting to create a progressive politics that fits to present realities, this poses a problem, because while these events feel like something from science fiction, they can also feel inevitable. In one sense, it's like the future is already written, and that for all the talk of an impending technological revolution, such dizzying transformations is attached to a static view of the world where nothing really changes. But what if everything could change? What if more than simply meeting the great challenges of our time, from climate change to inequality and aging, we went far beyond them, putting today's problems behind us, like we did before with large predators and, for the most part, illness? What if, rather than having no sense of a different future, we decided history hasn't actually begun? We have faced challenges as momentous as those which now confront us twice before. The first was around 12,000 years ago, as Homo sapiens, our ancestors, began to engage in agriculture for the first time. This consisted in the domestication of animals and crops, particularly grasping how biological features can be bred both in and out of species. It wasn't long before we had farming, animals performing labor, and a relative abundance of food. This in turn created the social surplus necessary for the transition to sedentary society, and with its cities, writing, and culture. In short, life would never be the same again. This was both the end of something, hundreds of millennia of human prehistory, and the start of something else. It was the first disruption. After not that much would change for thousands of years. Yes, there was progress as civilizations emerged and empires conquered, but fundamentally, the same sources of light, energy, and warmth were available 5,000 years ago as 500 years ago. Life expectancy depended more on geography, social status, and war than on technology, and until the last few centuries, most people's work involved subsistence agriculture. Then around the middle of this is still to be contested and its consequences remain uncertain, while the forces underpinning it are already present, as will be highlighted over the following chapters, and appropriate politics remains unclear. Importantly, its possibilities are such that they call into question some of the most basic assumptions of our social and economic system. Thus, far from being confronted with a choice between change and inertia, a world dramatically different from our own is both inevitable and near at hand. The key question is this one: in whose interests will it be created? What follows is a summary of the world in which this has begun to unfold, presenting the specter of crisis, ecological, economical, and social, alongside the potential abundance of an emerging alternative. From there, it is proposed that a political map can be gleaned from both the challenges we face and the potential tools at our disposal. This map is fully automated luxury communism. After the realm of speculation, we will draw upon the world as it is, or rather as it is becoming. Here we examine seemingly disparate technologies in automation, energy, resources, health, and food, before concluding that the foundations are cohering for a society beyond both scarcity and work. Nothing is certain about where these technologies will end, nor whose benefit they will serve. What is discernible, however, is that a disposition can be drawn from them, if only they are allied to a political project of collective solidarity and individual happiness. This is why fully automated luxury communism, abbreviated FALC, is a politics rather than some inevitable future. To that end, it requires a strategy for our times, while carving new figureheads for utopia, outlining the world as it could be and where to begin. So let's start at the end, or so we thought, with the strange death of the future. And that's it. That is the